So, a reminder before the lesson begins, make sure you're taking notes and you're listening and watching for the keyword or phrase. Let's get to it. So, welcome back. Today, we're going to be talking about lesson 10 of unit 4, which is all about circles. I'm going to be introducing you or reintroducing you into vocabulary like area, circumference, radius, diameter, and then we're going to talk about how we're going to use those formulas to calculate the different measurements of a circle like area and circumference. Our aim today is how can we find the area of a circumference of a circle. We're going to be talking about substitution of equations, solving equations, how do we write answers, units. So basically, make sure you're reviewing how to solve and how to evaluate an expression and solving equations. I'll post a card for the past videos. And let's get into the lesson. All right, so the different parts of a circle. So I've listed the different vocabulary words that are going to be super important in this lesson and the next lesson and everything we talk about with circles. So your radius, diameter, circumference, and area. We want to make sure we're labeling everything. And what I'm going to do is color code because I love color coding. So the first thing I want to mark down is, and this is just because it's going to be the easiest with coloring it in and marking it down, your area. So this is my attempt of a circle. Okay, not terrible. All right, so your area. Your area is the measurement that's inside the circle. So everything that is inside of this. So all of this would be considered the area. And it is a measurement. You are using a calculation to figure it out. So it's a measurement. The inside of a circle. Your formula is A for area equals your pi because pi is associated with circles, radius squared. Okay, so A equals pi r squared. Our next vocabulary word is circumference. So the circumference of a circle. So the circumference of a circle is going to be the measurement or distance around the circle. So the measurement, distance around a circle. The way you calculate circumference is you're going to use C for circumference equals pi times diameter, or C equals 2 times radius times pi. You can use either formula in order to find your circumference. So we mentioned diameter. Your diameter is going to be the distance between edge and edge of a circle, making sure it passes through the center. So making sure you pass through the center of a circle, going from edge to edge, that distance and that measurement is going to be your diameter. So distance from edge to edge of a circle. Making sure it passes through the center. And your diameter can be calculated by taking your radius and multiplying it by 2. So that would be your diameter. And then last but not least is your radius. Your radius is going to be the measurement or the distance from the center of the circle to the edge of your circle. So this is your distance from the center of the circle to the edge. And the way that you can calculate radius is by two ways. Radius is going to be equal to your diameter your diameter divided by 2. It's half of your diameter. Or you can write it as 1/2 times your diameter, which is basically the same thing as dividing by 2. So these are all of the important vocabulary words that you are going to need to know, along with your formulas that you will need to know when referring to circles. Now, we're going to be talking about what in terms of pi is and versus rounding. These are the different ways that you can represent your answer. You're going to be asked to either represent as in terms of pi, or you'll be asked to round to the nearest place value. And in this case, it's asking you to round to the nearest hundredths place. So for this specific situation, what I always suggest to my students is look what they're giving you and look what they're asking you to find. So in this case, I want you to find area, which is going to be pi r squared. And I always have my students write out your formula so it's there, it's in front of you, you can see it. We're given the diameter of 10 inches, but I know my formula needs radius. So I'm going to use my knowledge and what I know about radius. I know it's half of the diameter, so half of 10 would be 5. And I want to make sure I take my units because it's inches. So when I want to calculate my area in terms of pi, I'm going to leave the pi symbol in the answer. That is going to be the big difference with your answers of in terms of pi versus rounding. So I'm just going to rewrite this as A equals pi r squared. And again, I'm substituting in 5 for pi. 5 times 5 is going to be 25. So 25 pi, you have your units, and area is always counted or represented in inches squared. Now, if you rounded it to the nearest hundredths place, I'm going to multiply using my calculator with the pi symbol. So I got my area is going to be equal to 25 times pi, which would be 378.54, and rounded to the nearest hundredths place, inches squared. So making sure that you are keeping your units in terms of area, because that's what we're trying to find, inches squared, or if you're talking about circumference, it's just in inches. Your units will not be squared. All right, let's try the practice problems. Let's go to practice problem number 1. So here we want to notice what they're asking us for. We need to find the circumference. I know I have to leave in terms of pi my answer, and they're giving me 8 centimeters for the diameter because it's going from edge to edge. So I'm going to write this information down. I have my circumference. I know my diameter, which is 8 centimeters, and I'm going to make sure my answer is in pi. Okay. Circumference, my formula is going to be pi times diameter. The good thing is they already give me the diameter, so all I have to do is substitute in diameter, the value, into the formula. So what we're going to do is we're going to have circumference equals pi times, and then you're going to substitute in 8. So here, if we're leaving it in terms of pi, we have 8 pi, and centimeters would be our units, and that would be our answer. So we would get 8 centimeters I'm sorry, 8 pi centimeters would be our circumference. All right, let's move on to number 2. Number 2, make sure you're identifying what you need, what you're given, what you have to round to, and what you have to represent your answer in. Try this one on your own and come back and check if you're correct. So here we are finding the area of a circle. Our diameter is 6 feet, and then we need to round to the hundredths place. So area is going to be A equals pi r squared. I know I have my diameter of 6 feet, and I need to have the hundredths place. Okay. I need my radius, so I need to figure out how do I go from diameter to radius. If I cut it in half, 6 times a half, or 6 divided by 2, that's going to get me 3 and my radius. So I'm going to substitute that into my formula and get A equals pi 3 to the second power, which really would be pi times 3 times 3, which would therefore be pi times 9, or 9 pi, but I have to round to the nearest hundredths place. So I'm going to multiply 9 by the pi symbol on my calculator, and I'm going to get A equals 28.2743, and other values, but I'm focusing on my hundredths place. So really I know that I just have to kind of drop these because 4 is going to keep 7 at 7. So my area is going to be 28.27 feet squared. And I have to remember that I'm talking about the area, which is always feet squared. And that's my answer for number 2. Okay. Let's try number 3. Number 3 is a little bit tricky. So just to go over the different steps you would have to make, this is applying past or prior knowledge from Unit 2, scale factor. So we have a circular fountain, or the bases at least. So we have a diameter of 20 centimeters. This is the blueprint. You need to remember that the blueprint has a scale of 2 centimeters to 3 feet. You want to find the actual area of the base in square feet, and then you're rounding your answers to the nearest tenths place. So here we have 2 different things we have to deal with. So the first thing, you have to deal with your scale factor, which here is 2 centimeters for every 3 feet. Then the next thing you have to figure out is your area, or I should say, actual area in feet squared. So pause the video, try this one on your own, and come back and check your answer. Okay, so we want to set up our proportion because we're going to need a proportion. We already know that 20 centimeters is your diameter. Before area, it's A equals pi r squared. We need radius. Radius is really 10 centimeters. So that means I'm using 10. I'm going to cross multiply. So I'm going to get 30 equals 2x. X is going to be 15 feet. So here we have A equals pi times 15 squared. When you do A equals pi times 15 times 15, you're going to get area is 225 pi feet squared. And again, we're rounding to the nearest tenths place. When you multiply, you're going to get area is equal to 706.85775 feet squared. And I'm rounding to my tenths place, which would be to 8, which is really going to give me my answer of area equals 706.9 square feet. Sorry, 706.9 square feet. Make sure you're identifying your keyword and phrase. Make sure you're writing down your notes, writing down any questions you have for me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.